The Property Pod. Welcome to The Property Pod with Moneyweb. The property sector is an ever-changing sector, and in this podcast series, your host Suren Naidu chats to movers and shakers in the property industry.
Hi there, and welcome to the latest episode of The Property Pod, South Africa's premier property investor podcast. My name is Suren Naidu, and on this weekly show, we gain insider insights from leading executives, analysts, developers, and entrepreneurs in SA's expansive property industry. On our podcast this week, we have a young entrepreneurial CEO of a company that's doing great things in the affordable housing and urban regeneration arenas. He is Karel Kleinans, the CEO of Divercity Property Fund, which is unlisted and started off as a joint venture between Pretoria-based Atterbury Property and Joburg-based inner-city player Intemba several years back. Intemba Property, that is. Divercity is best known for its Jewel City development precinct in the Joburg CBD, but is also involved in the Barlow Park development near Sandton and recently announced a development in Cape Town. To tell us more, Karel, welcome to the Property Pod.
Thanks, Suren. Great to be on.
We have not chatted in a while. I think the last time face-to-face was actually in COVID for the Jewel City tour that we did. It could have been when Herman Mashaba was still Joburg mayor, so it's been a long time. I know.
Yeah, we almost measured time in the number of mayors we've had since then. But yes, it's been quite a while.
Definitely. A lot has changed with the mayors, but also in terms of development. We've covered the company in terms of some of its more recent developments. But before we get into that latest project in Cape Town, perhaps you want to give us an update on Jewel City. Is it still your biggest development yet? And is it pretty much a complete development and fully let?
Yeah, absolutely. Geez, it's. I think we've been fully occupied for over a year now on Jewel City, so it very much feels complete. We definitely in time I think will still expand it. We've got some quite a bit of land holdings in and around Jewel City that still has loads of development bulk, and there's definitely ample opportunity to expand it. But it being our largest kind of current investment in the Divercity business at the moment, definitely creates opportunity for us to diversify also away from just our core holdings in the Joburg CBD through developments like Barlow Park, which you just touched on in Sandton, and then also the stuff we're starting to do in Cape Town. So basically, to cut a long story short, Jewel City is doing very well today. It's fully occupied. The retail is trading extremely well. The resi is doing very well. It's a fantastic validation, I think, of the model of Divercity, which is to do kind of these large-scale, well-located, affordable residential precincts with amenities in them as well. And it's been the springboard that we needed to really start taking this model to other locations like Sandton and Cape Town and hopefully other nodes all over the country.
Just in terms of scale, the last time I spoke, it was a 1.8 billion rand development, and there was further investments coming in with the Kuro School, I believe, that just opened there at that time. But overall, in terms of scale?
Yeah, so that 1.8 number was referencing all of the development we were doing at that time in the Joburg CBD, which included other assets like Towers Main in the Absa precinct, as well as some other freestanding residential buildings that we did in the eastern part of the city. But Jewel City was a capital investment of just under R1 billion for the first phase that's currently standing there. And as you say, that there's definitely scope to expand it, but that's kind of where we are for now.
So you say it's fully let, so I gather it's thriving and very much a living neighborhood now.
Yeah, absolutely. I really encourage you to come down and have a look again once you've got a gap.
Turning to Barlow Park, I see leasing of the resi side has started. You punted it a month or two ago. So does that mean the first phase is complete there? Where do things stand in that development?
Yeah, so Barlow, maybe just to describe what's being built there. So it's 1,600 affordable units in this development called Barlow Park. That's right next to Innisfree Park, essentially graced on Catherine Drive in Sandton. And if you've driven past there in the last year, you would have probably seen the cranes and the construction from the highway. The first 1,600 resi units that are currently under construction are being complemented with 5,500 squares of retail, with Checkers and Clicks being the main anchors there, and then a Curo school as well, in fitting with our model of doing the full amenity offering and everything people really need on a day-to-day basis, all contained within close proximity to the resi. And the first residential units are launching on 1 February. So people are taking occupation on 1 February. And the retail is also launching a little bit later during the month of February. So we're really kind of there now. It's crunch time. Not all the resi delivers at the same date. I think it's about the first 300 units for which we have well over 1,000 inquiries already, which is kind of unheard of really in our business, to be letting units that people can't even actually get into at the moment. It's still a construction site. You can't go into the building, and I think we've signed leases and taken deposits and everything for over 70 units already. And at this rate, we kind of expect to pretty much have everything fly off the shelf by Feb for the first phase, and then the bulk of the 1,600 units that I mentioned deliver kind of over the course of the next year already in batches.
Thanks for that, Carol. Just in terms of development value there, I know Atterbury is involved together with Twin City, and obviously it's an old Barlow World property, hence its name. Can you give us some insight on that?
Yeah, so the one partner you didn't get there is the Moelman Group, who also involved as a capital partner in the deal. Just thought I'd mention them. It's actually been a fantastic project so far in terms of the various skill sets and experience of the various partners around the table, and I think that's going to definitely show in the success of the completed development. The first phase that I've mentioned now is at 1.1 billion rand capital value. Total development cost. And then we've got land and rights there to keep expanding the precinct quite extensively, up to, depending on exactly what we do with the further phases, probably in excess of 3 billion rand by the time it's all done.
Thanks for that. It was interesting how agile the group was, because originally the plan was for a large office component there, and it changed into a more residential development or residential anchored. Turning to Cape Town now, your latest venture, a residential project in Salt River called 9 Hopkins, I believe. Is this Divercity's first foray into the mother city, and how did that come about? Interestingly enough, just before it was announced, we actually interviewed the CEO of Urban Lime, and he mentioned that this is coming up just down the road from one of their projects in that area.
Yes, that's right. We actually just opposite the road from one of Urban Lime's Salt River developments, and it's an area that we really like, and we're very much looking forward to getting going there. And you are correct in saying that this is our Divercity's first project in Cape Town and the Western Cape. If you think very simply about what Divercity stands for, our core mission as a business is to build very good quality, well-located, affordable rental housing, because we think that there's an almost insatiable demand for this kind of accommodation in South Africa. And I think that this market is particularly strong in Cape Town and the Western Cape, it being an area that's seeing significant influx of new people into that area, and also a city where good quality, affordable accommodation is quite hard to come by in well-located areas. So for us, it's a major focus, and I think we very much hope to be announcing quite a couple more developments in Cape Town in the next year or so.
Just to reiterate the scale of that development and how much is being pumped into that project?
That's about 300 million rand, and it's about just over 400 apartments. But as I was saying, it's really for us the first stepping stone to hopefully quite a bit more in Cape Town. If I could have it my way, we'd probably commit to at least 2,000 new units in central Cape Town during the next 12 months.
Well, it makes sense. As you said, the demand in Cape Town for affordable housing, rental stock is huge. But we've kind of gone into my next question here. Can we expect further investment by the group in Cape Town? You've answered that. But in any other parts of the country, either Gauteng or other areas, new cities or areas in South Africa?
I think we'll definitely do some more investment in Gauteng, in the big economic nodes of Gauteng. Between that and Cape Town, that'll probably be our primary focus in the near term. I do think that there are other cities within South Africa where our product would do very well, but just from a pure focus point of view and bandwidth, we'll probably realistically stick to big economic nodes in Gauteng and Western Cape for now.
Thanks. What is the next big thing outside what you've mentioned for Divercity? Any other major plans in the works that's worth highlighting?
I think one very exciting thing is that we are just about to announce, probably in the next week or so, a big new capital raise for Divercity, which will significantly shore up our balance sheet and really give us the equity that we need to keep rolling out these precincts. Obviously, real estate is capital intensive, and in this market to grow, you need to keep raising capital. And we're very, very fortunate to have fantastic current shareholders who are following rights in this investment round, and also some exciting new partners joining us that are buying into the vision of Divercity, that understand not only the commercials of what we're busy doing and believe in that value proposition, but also see the impact of this asset class in the South African context. So this is something we very much look forward to announcing, probably hopefully in the next week or so.
Okay, looks like a big announcement ahead there. Does that mean Divercity will pretty much play in that space? I gather you're not looking to list anytime soon, considering the huge discounts in the listed property space on the JSE.
Yeah, no, certainly I guess that is a challenge as a private company. At the moment, it's not particularly attractive to list. But, I do think that we will need to find a way to create liquidity for our shareholders at some point in the coming years. And I think it's in the interest of, the entire real estate sector that hopefully the listed sector eventually gets back to a place where it's trading at closer to value again. I think everybody expects that to take a couple of years, and we're certainly not holding our breath that it happens anytime sooner. There will be a point at which we will need to create liquidity for our private equity shareholders, and to that effect, we'll look to the markets if there's an opportunity there, or look at other means.
Just yourself, Carl, how did you get into the property development game? Can you share some of your background of who Carl Kleinans is and what drives you to play in this space? It's quite exciting, but it also has its challenges considering some of the other issues in other areas of the Joburg CBD, for example.
Yeah, sure. We definitely have done a lot of urban renewal work, but I'd say I'm probably first and foremost in the housing space in South Africa. And I think what really got me into doing what I'm doing today is a belief in the asset class and the what might be called multifamily in the US and built to rent in Europe. In well-developed capital markets such as those, residential accounts for a sizable portion of the investable real estate universe. I think in the US it's in excess of 25% of listed property is residential, and specifically apartments, the kind of stuff that we build. And, I think that this asset class within the real estate landscape in South Africa has incredible potential for a variety of reasons that we don't have to get into now. But suffice to say that, I think that there's, as a young person in property in South Africa, it's an area where I see a lot of growth and a lot of opportunity. And it's something that also just appeals to me on a personal level. I think it's an exciting asset class, as you point out, in that there's the opportunity to have an amazing impact in what one does and build a great business in the process. And I've been very lucky to meet partners and investors along the way that share this conviction about what we're busy with. And, I think if we do a good job, hopefully build a great business in the process.
For our listeners, Carl is talking to us from the Joburg CBDs. That's how committed he is to the group's investments in urban renewal. But first and foremost, as he mentioned, the housing space. Carl, I appreciate your time on the podcast today. That was Carl Kleinans, the CEO of Divercity Urban Property Fund.
Thanks for listening to the Moneyweb Property Pod with Suren Naidu. To listen to more episodes, go to moneyweb.co.za or the Moneyweb app and follow Moneyweb News for daily updates. Follow Suren on Twitter @Suren Naidu for more of his property industry content and other business stories. The Property Pod.